Hello, this is How To Bob, and in this video I'm going to show you how I changed the fuel pump in a 1991 Mustang GT. So I've got the car jacked up already and put on jack stands. I've got my wheels chalked in the front, and I'm going to take the straps off here, and there's another one on this side over here. It's a little harder to see. So to do that, I'm going to use a 1/2-inch socket on a ratchet and impact driver. Next, I'm going to remove the bolt that holds the filler neck on. It's located on the passenger side right here beside the exhaust pipe, and it's a real small nut. It just loosens up. That holds the filler neck into the tank. And then I'm going to take the wire to the fuel gauge sending unit out, and then I can lower my fuel tank down, and you'll notice that it only comes down one side. I haven't removed the fuel filler neck yet, so once I get it down I can remove the electrical hookup for the sending unit here. Just push in and take it off. Then I need to remove my fuel line, so I have a fuel line removal tool. Just clamps down around the pipe, and it's very hard to see up in here, but I just clamp it down around the metal part of the pipe and push it out, and the hoses will come out. Just like that. There's two of them up there. Very hard to see, I know, but once I get those out of there, and let me push this one out, I can then disconnect this red plug that goes to my fuel pump, and then all the way in the back there's a vent, a hose that goes to the vent, and I'm just going to take my vent out and I can remove the hose then. Now here's my filler. I take that out, and there's a grommet that may stick on the filler tube or it may be in the tank. Either way, I'm going to take that out. Then I can slide my tank out the driver's side of the car. Okay, now that I have my tank out, I'm going to remove the lock ring on top of the fuel pump, and I just tap that with a screwdriver or chisel in a counterclockwise motion here, and then take that off. And I have to pry underneath because there is a gasket. A lot of times it sticks in there. This one's not too bad. It came right out pretty easy. And then I have to work my fuel pump out. Now it's got a filter on the bottom of the new one here, you can see. So I don't have one on the old one, so it's still in the tank. So I'm going to have to fish that out and make sure I get all that old pieces out of the inside of the tank. I've got a new gasket, so I'm going to have to remove all the old gasket material. Now's a good time to do that before the tank is cleaned out, because any of these little pieces might get in the tank and you can then wash them out, which is what I'm going to do now. I just spray it out with water, and then I add a little bit of dish detergent inside the tank and spray some more water in. And then what I will do is get a stick or a brush or anything that you can get inside where the filler tube goes, put a rag on the end of it and kind of swish it around on the inside of the tank, just trying to knock loose anything that might be in there, trying to clean out the best that you can. And then I'll let it sit and dry. Once I get this rinsed out real well, make sure all the soap's out of there, I'll let it sit and dry for an hour or two in the sun. Now you can see inside the tank there's a little well here. That's where my new fuel pump is going to land. So put my seal ring on the fuel pump, and you kind of work it in very slow and gently, not to rip the filter off or anything. And the way this holder is bent, you have to kind of put it in backwards first. I want my hoses to face towards the front of the vehicle. My hose connections will be facing towards the front, but I got to start, just to get it down in that well, I have to start with the hoses towards the back. And once you get it in that well, it'll sit right into the two notches. There's one notch here. You can see there's a pin on the top of the fuel pump, and then there's another notch over here, and that needs to line up so that everything sits perfectly inside the tank. Once I get those notches lined up, I can press it into place and take my new lock ring and set it on top here, and get a screwdriver or chisel and tap it in to lock my new fuel pump into place. Now you may have noticed when I took the tank out that the filler tube grommet is pretty bad shape, so I've got a new one here, and that one's just going to press in the filler tube hole, just squeeze it and put it in real nice and tight. Make sure that it's all the way around and in real well. And what I'm going to do is put some dish soap on here. That'll make the filler neck slide in easier when I go to put the tank up in there and put the filler tube into the grommet. Just helps out and makes it a little bit easier in the future. So now I'm ready to put the tank in, so I'll put my tank guard underneath, take off my caps from my fuel pump, and slide it in from the driver's side. I can get my straps out of the way here and all my wiring, and just slide it over. Once I get it slid kind of into place, I'm going to get my jack and work the jack underneath the tank. Just makes it easier to hold the tank up while you're doing all your adjustments and tightening all the fittings and whatnot. Then I'm going to put my fuel lines in, just snap into place, and you'll hear a click once they get in there. So I've got the other one here, and that snaps right into place. Make sure they're all tight. And then I've got my filler hose, and it has to go inside this grommet. Since this is a new one, I'm going to have to work this back and forth to get it to go into the correct depth. And you'll know it's at the correct depth once the bolt lines up for the fuel filler keeper that's on the side here. That'll be the last thing I do because I still want to make adjustments, but you'll know that it's in far enough. You'll be able to line that up. So I just got to keep working it back and forth until it pushes into the new grommet. So I get that in. I can go ahead and hook up the vacuum hose all the way in the back here. It's a little bit shorter, and then I can plug my fuel pump wiring in. And then I've got my sending unit here. I'm going to plug my sending unit in. Plug that in here. Just snaps right in place, and put the little wire into the holder here. Now I can start to jack my tank up into place. I don't want it to get all the way tight, but I want to get it high enough so that I can get my strap all the way around it and in here, and I want to still be able to adjust it if I need to get it left and right, on forward or backward. Now I've got my nut, and I can go ahead and tighten that in, and that'll pull my tank all the way up, and I can use my jack to lift it up just a little bit if I need to. And then I'm going to go to the driver's side strap and put the nut in the driver's side. And then last but not least, I have my filler neck holder, and that's over here by the right hand exhaust. Just tighten that one up, and that's how you change the fuel pump on a 91 Mustang. I'm How To Bob. Thanks for watching.